Good afternoon. We're meeting on the 10th of February for the regularly scheduled meeting. Today's meeting is being held at the Dennett Road Educational Complex. The board will go into executive session immediately following this announcement and return at approximately 6 p.m. Under Section 303-305B of the General Provisions Article of the Maryland Annotated Code, there are two reasons the board will go into closed session this evening: to discuss the appointment, employment, assignment, promotion, discipline, demotion, compensation, removal, resignation, or performance evaluation of appointees, employees, or officials over whom this public body has jurisdiction, any other personnel matter that affects one or more specific individuals, or to conduct collective bargaining negotiations or consider matters that relate to the negotiations. Specifically, the topics tonight will be 3-305B1, topics including superintendent search and personnel updates; 3-305B9, topics including health insurance rates, FY27 composition of GCBOE negotiation teams. The reason these topics be discussed in closed session instead of open session is as follows. The personnel topics pursuant to 3-305B1 disclosed above will be considered in closed session rather than open session because they include a discussion of specific employees, which this is a confidential employment matter. The negotiation topics pursuant to 3-305B9 disclosed above will be considered in closed session rather than open session because of the board will be conducting collective bargaining negotiations or considering matters that relate to the negotiations. With that being said, are there any objections to the Board of Education going into executive session? Hearing none, is there a motion? So moved by Don.
Second.
Second by Rodney. Discussion? All those in favor of going into executive session, signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. And we are in executive session. Good evening. I'd like to welcome everyone to the February 10th regularly scheduled Board of Education meeting. We have just adjourned from executive session, and we have a fairly short public agenda this evening. I'd like to ask everyone to please stand for a moment of silence, to be followed by our Pledge of Allegiance led by our student board member. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I'll take a motion to approve the agenda. So moved by Don. Second by Sadie. Discussion? All those in favor of the agenda as presented for the public session, signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Approval of the consent agenda. Take a motion. So moved by Rodney. Seconded by Sadie. All those in favor of the approval of the consent agenda, signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. And it is approved. Our closed session summaries and announcements, once again, can be found on our Board of Education website. We certainly encourage everyone to look at those things so that you can stay up with the latest news centering around our Board of Education. Continuing business, a draft of the FY 26-27 state aid revenue presentation, and this is made by Ms. Glatfelty.
I am here to present the fiscal 27 preliminary state and local aid to education. So on the first slide, you will see that it's a summary of our state and local funding in total. So for fiscal 27, 39% will be state funded and 61% will be locally funded. So the state portion is $23,348,338. The local portion will be $36,672,867 for a total of $60,021,021 $60,021,205. The next slide will show you in total revenue as well. It'll also separate out by major state programs. So it'll show you the split between the unrestricted funding of $57,855,284 and our concentration of poverty of $2,165,921 to get back to our total of $60,021,205. The next two slides will show you the state share of funding. As you can see, the fiscal 27 amount of $23,431,900 to the fiscal 27 amount of $23,338 is pretty much flat funding. In addition, it's important to note that the hold harmless amount of 1.8 million is not included in the total revenue, as this was not included in the preliminary state aid file as of this point in last year. And as far as we know at this point, we do not have any information on the disparity hold harmless grant funding for fiscal 27. So the next slide is just a breakdown of our funding by program. It will show you the split between unrestricted of $21,516,185 and our COP funding of $1,832,153 for a total of $23,348,338. The next two slides will show you the local share. As you can see, the local share from 26 to 27 increased by almost $2.2 million. So the local share is increasing from the state level to the local level. And you can see the breakdown below of the local funding, $36,339,099, and then our COP funding of $333,768 for a total funding for the local share for $36,672,867.
Ms. Clappelli, probably would be good to at least indicate that of that $2 million extra that's coming from the county,
Yes.
that money is segregated to certain areas. Would you
Yes.
explain that a little bit?
Yes, so the money is segregated. The largest increase this year was for pre-K funding. That per pupil amount went from around 15,000 to it's close to 20,000, so it increased about 5,000 per pupil, but it's segregated for pre-K. There wasn't a very large increase necessarily in our foundation, and there were other areas that we lost money as well. We lost a little bit in comp ed, in our blueprint transition, so there were other areas that were decreased. And in addition, the special education went up a little bit too, but you can only spend those on certain qualifying items. So our foundation is really where we need the largest increase, because that's where our largest spend is.
Yeah, I think it's important for folks to know that even though there's $2 million more there, it's not money that we have the ability to spend where we would like to spend it.
No.
It's designated for certain things and only those things.
Yes.
So it sounds like a lot of money, but in fact, in looking at an overall operating budget, there's very little money that we control.
Yes, you are correct. And so if we look at the total aid slide and the variance, it's important to note that TSI funding was available in 26, and it is no longer available under the restricted local aid. In addition, the COP funding, and one thing that's important to highlight in the COP funding, part of our increase was that we did have another qualifying school for COP funding, which is Swan Meadow. They will be receiving the personnel grant and the amount of $285,788. So that's an important distinction within that restricted funding. This budget year, we will face many challenges. We will have an increase in salary and health insurance as always, and that's as per the negotiated agreement. We're projecting this increase to be about 2.6 million. In addition, as Mr. Woods had indicated earlier, the funds are restricted by certain state categories. So our funding is kind of siloed in how we can spend it. And then also another challenge will be reliance on fund balance. Hopefully we can sustain our budget without having to utilize fund balance except for one-time expenditures.
Great. Questions for Scott Felty concerning our proposal? We will be working on this in March, again, early. We'll talk about that later this evening, but this is our first indication as to what to expect. Okay, great. Thank you very much. Excellent. Very good slides. Thank you very much for that. Okay. Under new business, seniors last day is an action item. And Mr. Edwards, you going to make that presentation? Yes, you can, Superintendent said.
Yes, his name's on the memo.
With the request for the last day for seniors this year being Tuesday, May the 26th, which would be the day after we come back from Memorial Day, I think, and graduation will be on Saturday.
A motion? So move it on. Second by Jane. Discussion? Hearing none? All those in favor of accepting the May 26th as the last day for students, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay? Thank you. Yeah, I'm sure that was going to be your recommendation, Superintendent.
Yes, that was going to be my recommendation.
I figured since you brought him up, we'd let him make it.
It all works,
All right.
as long as we get it done.
School bus contract. This is an action item as well, and it will be presented by Mr. Ray. Is he going to make it? Yeah.
The current contractor of Bus 40 on the southern end of the county has chosen not to renew their contract at the end of this school year due to not wanting to purchase a new school bus. We have received 5 letters of interest in the open contract and held interviews on January the 22nd. We interviewed all 5 applicants, and upon the completion of the interviews process, the committee unanimously agreed that Justin Fitzwater would be awarded the contract.
Superintendent McCartney, you have a recommendation.
I do. My recommendation is to award the school bus contract to Mr. Justin Fitzwater for the Oakland area bus route as presented.
Okay, the superintendent's recommendation is to award the contract to Mr. Justin Fitzwater for the Oakland route as described. Is there a motion? So moved by Don. Seconded by Jane. Discussion. Hearing none. Those in favor of awarding the contract to Mr. Justin Fitzwater for the bus route designated in the southern end, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay, and it is awarded.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Elementary ELA curriculum review. Ms. Moss will make that presentation.
Good evening.
Good evening.
We brought together a team of teachers, 15 in total, and they are bringing before you the recommendation to purchase magnetic reading. This particular company is also the creator of iReady, which you have seen many documents from. And the nice thing is this will allow us to have one resource for ELA. Everything is there. They go to one place. They're not using the 4 resources that we currently have. So when we look at the next slide, really what it does is it tells you the process of how we did this. We used teachers that were fully science of reading trained. So they had a lot of background knowledge and understanding of what it is that we needed to be purchasing. They did do a pilot of the materials because when we don't pilot the materials, we're not always sure of what's in them other than the pretty packaging. So they did vet them and they used the state rubric to do so. On the next slide, I'm relying on Chad because I'm not sure this thing will work, but we are aligned to the Maryland State Literacy Policy with this particular resource, as well as the regulation that requires us to be using science of reading materials. So this will align to that. It applies to the structured literacy component of that, which includes all of those little indicators around that light bulb so that students have a well-rounded curriculum that address not only phonics but the comprehension and the writing as well. What we know is, as much as we all loved the phonics program that gave them a solid foundation, the emphasis tended to stay there sometimes with our younger students, so we now need to elevate both the foundations and the comprehension and get students writing even younger. So with that, you'll see the components of the high quality instructional materials that were included in that rubric, and this is what the state asks us to look for. They will support the newly revised standards that will be implemented this fall. It incorporates evidence-based practices that we have been using professional learning to elevate through the MTSS process, explicit instruction, scaffolding, flexible grouping, all of the things with engagement that we're trying to increase in our classrooms. It provides a knowledge base that is not just the literacy skills, but also the content areas, because it uses topics like It is decomposers in grade 5 that I just read this week. Rather interesting and very engaging for students at that age because they are collecting animals from the roadside for the young man's mother to investigate, and the domestic beetles are in there, all of the language that goes along with it. Personally, I don't want to do it, but it will be interesting for them, and I know that the 5th graders that have tried it said the students were just absolutely loving the topic. It's also built for extensions for students that need to expand their learning beyond the grade level standards, but yet supports those who are struggling, because we have the entire suite of what we used to have in iReady will now be directly aligned to this tool. And then the educator supports are really what made our teachers choose this. And I will give you an example from just an observation today. We have a brand new teacher, 2nd year in, and for the first time, I really saw her shining confidently, teaching reading, and it was just an absolute blessing to be in that classroom. I warned her that I would mention that tonight, but I say that because that aligns directly with our strategic plan, looking at teacher confidence in delivering the skills and the knowledge that we're trying to get them to impart to our students. So with that, as of today, around 11:30, the materials were delivered to the Ruth Enlow Library in Grantsville. Tomorrow, when they open, they will be delivered to the Oakland branch for public input. Along with that is 2 of our devices, and 1 in each location, to be able to put the feedback in. The survey is ready to be opened on the public website tomorrow, and parents and public, as well as our teachers, will be able to provide feedback for that. And that will be on display through March 4th, according to our policy, and then we'll gather that input and bring it back to you next month. Any questions? It was wonderful work.
Out of curiosity, how do things like this align with students that are English language as a secondary language?
There are actual notes in the books to show teachers how to address specifically vocabulary through pictures, because we know the language can be a barrier. Also, ways to scaffold that down to what they need in order to understand it. And of course, we have fewer than 10 students in our system that are second language learners. But we have a specific teacher who then also shares those strategies with teachers and then support each other through that process and collaborating for the student.
Have we received anything from, Baltimore Sun, I'm just using it as my example of reading. Dr. Wright seems to be on a big push for reading this year. Is this something that they're pushing? Is there anything from the state saying this is what we would really like to see you use?
Well, when we look at the literacy plan and then that regulation that was put out, I think in 21, the science of reading, which also incorporates the science of learning, which is basically teaching 101, when we're delivering some of that PD that we're required to this year. I know Dr. McCartney's looking at me going, we did this 15 years ago. Yes, we did, but we've had a lot of turnover, as I keep telling her. But yes, the state is asking us to be science of reading trained for our teachers and our staff, particularly in pre-K through 3, because that's the foundation of how we set up that program that's fully comprehensive of comprehension and the phonics that get them fluently reading. And then we are also supposed to be looking at high quality instructional materials, which is where that rubric comes into play. And the state will be releasing their initial list in June, but then they're going to spend another year reviewing other curriculum that has been developed and submitted. They could only do so many at a time, so we'll have the initial list, and then we'll see that list continue to grow.
Great.
Okay.
Any other questions? Anyone? Okay, thank you.
And
Very-
I just want to say, thank you
You're welcome.
very much. I appreciate the materials in a package.
That will come up next month for a vote, so I would certainly encourage everyone to take a look at that and let us know any of your thoughts that you might have. Okay, let's move on to grade 6 through 8 science curriculum, and Mr. Warnick will make that presentation.
It's already on. Okay. Good evening. I'm here to present a recommendation for middle grade science. So this would be 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. The resource is Experience Science. And if that name is familiar to you, that's because that was approved and implemented for our high school students this school year. Mrs. Moss did a great job explaining our committee process. We follow a consistent process when we're working through these adoption cycles, so I don't need to go over that again with you. The slide that's showing right now, I think Mrs. Moss stole some of my thunder on this one as well. These are the components of high quality instructional materials from Maryland's rubric. And these are the things our teachers are looking for when they review curriculum materials. So these 4 categories were things that were strong with Experience Science, and on the next couple of slides you'll see how Experience Science meet these high quality indicators. So for teachers, well actually before I dive into that, you will see a note on there that the resource will not exceed the approved budget amount for fiscal year 26, so I wanted to make sure I pointed that out. But for our teachers, the resource is Next Generation Science Standards Aligned, which was one of the most important things with our secondary science team. Each topic launches with a phenomenon, which engages students in the 5E instructional model. Teachers have access to flexible instructional tools, which help them support all learners, including students that are ready for enrichment and students that need more support. In addition, teachers will have access to assessment tools, which help determine student needs. And then also included in the Savvis Realize platform, print and digital teacher supports, which include on-demand training, content videos, and additional customizable lesson planning tools. On the next slide, you'll see from the student experience, our students will engage in inquiry-based learning. They will be encouraged to take ownership of their learning, to collaborate with their peers. They are consistently encouraged to think, act, and discover like scientists. This science resource has a strong discipline literacy approach embedded throughout to support our students with their discipline literacy. I think Mrs. Moss has already explained that the resources will be on display. Science will be right next to English language arts in our Grantsville and Oakland locations. Does anyone have any questions?
Questions, anyone about the resource alignment, I guess, to MSDE testing? I mean, do we feel,
Our MSDE tests are aligned to the next generation science standards. So if we can find a resource that's strongly aligned to those standards, then we're in good shape.
okay. Obviously, that tells us did it work or not,
Right.
unfortunately.
Will this curriculum be online if they can't go to the libraries to see
Yeah,
it?
yes, there's a textbook website link that's embedded in the slideshow.
Okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Great slides, both of you. Great slides. Thank you. Okay, let's move on to budget transfer. It's an action item tonight. And Ms. Gladfelder will come back to make that presentation.
So I am requesting two separate budget transfers, budget amendments from fund balance. The first one is to fund OPEB in the amount of $143,847. This was 5% of the actuarially determined contribution of $2,869,732, ending June 30th of 2025. And the second one that I am requesting is the turf field replacement. We have set up a restricted fund for this. I'm asking for an additional $200,000 to go into capital outlay, bringing that balance in total, if this would be approved, to $400,000. If the board so chooses to approve these, they would then have to go to the county commissioners for approval as well.
Okay, Superintendent McCartney, you have a recommendation?
My recommendation is that the board approve a budget amendment transfer to allocate fund balance to increase $143,487 to fixed charges and $200,000 to capital outlay to continue to build our funds for the turf fields replacement.
Okay, the superintendent's requesting that we move from fixed charges $143,487 for APED funding and a turf field restricted fund of $200,000 to be put into that fund. Is there a motion as such? So moved by Don? Second by Jane. Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the superintendent's recommendation signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. And it is approved. Thank you once again, Ashley. Okay, do we have any public comment, Karen? No, I don't see anyone. Thank you, Paul. All right, let's move on then to the student member report.
Okay, all right, thank you. So our students have just recently wrapped up their second term. We are moving into the third term of the year. So with that, many schools have been participating in giving their students a PBIS incentive. A lot of schools emphasize this on attendance, so I would like to give kudos to those schools. A lot of students have been working hard, such as a few at Southern Garrett. They have just placed regionally and statewide within the stock market game. Not national, the Northern High School Unified Bocce team, they went to states today, so I can't wait to hear the results whenever we get that back. And then, oh, oh, they got fifth. Okay, awesome. Well, I'll make sure to give my congratulations to them. Um, Moving on quickly, so county-wise, we are hosting our third General Assembly for the year this Thursday at Garrett College. We're doing a service project for healthcare workers and patients. And then we are currently working on a fundraiser partnering with local businesses, and we are continuing our outreach with the state. Northern High School, they're just working on some spirit weeks. Southern High School is doing the same with fundraisers. And then Northern Middle School, tonight, they are having a fundraiser at Mountain State Brewery to raise money for the Cool Schools Dunk. And I also just want to mention, I love the competitiveness that our county is going in to raise money for such a great cause. I really hope that this one's going to be a great turnout. And then at the bottom, you're going to see I have a few dates with the Garrett County Arts Fair coming up next month on the 14th, and a few fundraisers with our clubs on the northern end. Thank you.
Questions? Thank you, Cadence. Let's move on to board member updates. Are there anything the board wants to share?
I'll share something.
Sure.
Mr. Glockfeld and I are actively participating in the May legislative committees. We participate in a legislative day, as well as the committees that is really evaluating legislation that's coming up. So we've been active in that. I also was able to attend a Williamsport Southern Wrestling tournament. That was a nail biter. We lost by 3 in the end, but it was a great match.
Who did your son root for?
He was Williamsport, but I was there for Southern. I sat with Southern. He sat with Williamsport.
We'll remember that.
And it's nice to have Jane on the legislative committee. Thank you for
Anything
signing up
else?
for that.
Good work.
Okay,
need
superintendent updates.
I just have a couple reminders. One, a reminder that this body, the Garrett County Board of Education, will have a budget work session as a part of our March 10th board meeting. This work session will be here at Dennett Road Education Complex, and will begin at 3 p.m. that day. We will follow that by our regular monthly meeting, and we'll share more details as we put our agenda together. The thing that parents and community members need to keep in mind is that our application period for next school year for pre-K3, pre-K4, and kindergarten programs began yesterday. Highlights about each of these programs were posted on our social media over the last 2 weeks, and full details about the programs can also be found on our GCPS website. So hopefully we have those young children enrolled so that we're ready for them for the 26-27 school year. Other reminders, schools will be in session on February the 16th. That is our first makeup date because of inclement weather. The other exciting thing coming up is the Cool Schools Dunk, which will be held on Thursday, February the 19th at 10 a.m. by Uno's at the lake. Progress reports for the third quarter. We're already thinking progress reports for the third quarter will be distributed on February the 26th. And then on February the 27th, there is a 3-hour early dismissal scheduled for our students because our staff will be involved in staff development activities the rest of that day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions for the superintendent about our report? Okay. Okay, we have one final item of board business tonight. Elected Board of Education has three responsibilities. Our three responsibilities are to hire a superintendent, to build a budget, and to put in place policies and procedures. Tonight, we will do perhaps our most important job, and that is to hire a superintendent. Through the course of the last several months, we've been meeting, discussing that, and tonight it is an action item for the board. So with that being said, I will open a motion to nominate a superintendent for the next 4 years.
I move we offer a contract to Dr. Nicole Miller.
Okay, motion has been put on the floor to offer a 4-year contract to Dr. Nicole Miller as our superintendent. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Rodney. Discussion? Hearing none, there's a motion on the floor to hire Dr. Nicole Miller for the next 4 years as superintendent of schools for Garrett County Public Schools. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Are there any abstentions?
I'm sorry, I voted.
Well, we know how you feel now.
Did I hear 4 nays, or 4 yays, rather? Is that what I heard? I couldn't hear. Is that what we have? 4? Okay. I'm sorry, it is unanimous, and the chair will vote as well, so we'll make it a 5-0. Congratulations, Dr. Miller. We have, the board has the utmost confidence that you're going to do a wonderful job.
Well, thank you. And I would like to take an opportunity to thank the board for the opportunity to serve the school system and the county in this capacity. It truly is an honor. And I look forward to our work together. We have very important work to do. I look forward to working with the staff, our families, our community, and of course, service to our students. So thank you.
Thank you. I'd be remiss in saying it's kind of one of those things, not a done deal till it's a done deal. It's a done deal when the state superintendent says it's a done deal. So we'll send a letter tomorrow morning requesting that, but we have every expectation that it'll be okay. And I think the superintendent would like to make one final comment.
I'm sorry, I went aye. I actually wrote something down to try to channel my thoughts here. As was just announced, Dr. Miller will be our next superintendent for Garrett County Public Schools, and it is truly a pleasure to be here and to support Dr. Miller during this transition period. As I thought about this, leadership transitions matter. They matter a lot for this institution. And they give us a moment to pause, reflect on where we've been, and look ahead to where we're going. And today is one of those moments for such reflection, and it is also a very exciting time. Dr. Miller brings not only deep experience and proven leadership, but also a clear commitment to students, to educators, and communities. Throughout her career and the time that I have known her, she has demonstrated a steady focus on what matters most: student success, strong schools, meaningful partnerships with families, staff, and community. And just as importantly, she brings a leadership style that I believe is grounded in listening, in collaboration, and respect. So this district has much to be proud of. We have dedicated educators, engaged families, students with incredible potential. And at the same time, like all systems, all school systems, we face real challenges and opportunities ahead. And I am confident as I leave that Dr. Miller is well prepared to lead the district forward with vision, integrity, and heart. So my personal, professional congratulations, Dr. Miller.
Well, I wasn't expecting that. But thank you very much for your kind words.
Okay. Thank you very much. With that, we would like to get a picture with the board members and student member and our attorney before we leave tonight. And we have one important thing to do, and that's for you and I to sign the contract. So with that being said, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn. I'll do that.
Motion to adjourn. Motion by Jane, second by Sadie. All those in favor of adjourning, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. And we are adjourned.